One, two, one, two, one, two, one, two. What's going on? It's your boy Jason Mass. About to get off into this review of the new album by JPEGMAFIA and Danny Brown entitled Scaring the Hoes. Scaring the Hoes. Yeah, great record though. Very, very, very unique record. And unique in this era is a good thing. Unique's always a good thing, but especially in the era that we're living in now, in terms of urban music, hip hop, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, so let's get off into it. See, that's a connection between Detroit, Danny Brown from Detroit, and Brooklyn, JPEG Mafia from Brooklyn. Uh, this is a wild ass album. Some couple of wild ass dudes. JPEG Mafia, Danny Brown. Those are some genuinely, you know, strange, weirdo type dudes, and I mean that in the most endearing and meaningful way. Those are great artists. Very interesting, very intriguing guys, and that's always a welcome thing. And it's like twice as much um, strangeness when they get together. And I really hope that this is the start of an ongoing collaboration between those two artists. Yeah, it's a very abrasive album. Um, Again, very chaotic, noisy. They really embrace noise on this record, and that's another, you know, great element. It's, it moves away from being a straight up and down orthodox rap record. You know, they keep it outer, outer limits, and that's, you know, always a welcome thing when we talk about hip hop albums in 2023. Um, Very unhinged record. It's a very anti orthodox hip hop record, and it's more of a vibe type album than a lyrical kind of album. It's more about the overall vibe, which is, you know, a real party vibe, but not party in a kind of regular way. I mean, we're talking about party like debauchery, wild shit, a lot of hookers and drugs and all kind of crazy shit. Maybe some guns and a little bit of violence, but it's all in good fun. So yeah, uh, the way this album is mixed, I've seen some things online where more orthodox hip hop fans have complained about the mix, and nah, I'm not really of that mind state. I think the mix, it fits this type of record, and everything is mixed real hot, very high. All the levels sound like they were really recorded in the red, and it gives the whole record this flavor of being it adds this kind of messy in the best possible way kind of element to the overall aesthetic of the record. And the albums that's coming to mind that may have kind of influenced this direction for this record, things like Jungle Brothers, the shelved album that Crazy Wisdom masters. I see where there's a little bit of that. Um, the Beastie Boys at their wildest. Maybe some of the kind of outer check your head era tracks, stuff like that. But further out though, as far as the production values. What else? I hear like a less punk and slightly more lyrical version of, relatively speaking. of like Death Grips maybe. And again, they totally, Danny Brown and JPEGMAFIA totally embraced that kind of daring kind of chaos, you know, via electronic music, um, noise music, and embrace of like guitar distortion. Like the guitar distortion comes in and out, sound like they're just hitting on guitar pedals and just, you know, playing with that a lot. So it all ultimately works more than it doesn't work on this record. So let's see. Um, it's a very all all in, throw everything in, kitchen sink approach to the production. And that's something that you don't really see a lot of nowadays. This is something that was kind of a production style that you used to see more back in the late 80s, where, you could just sample and loop everything before sample laws became kind of more uptight and shit, so there's that. But, what else we got? Let's go ahead and we're gonna break it down. Well, we'll get off into it track by track, but it's again, this is a very forward thinking hip hop album. And again, that's needed. Albums like this are necessary for the genre, you know, to push the genre forward. Um, um, I see where, based on this first record, if this is an ongoing project where they could really develop, by a third or fourth album of this kind of stuff, could be they're capable of doing a classic album. I can hear it. I really hope that this is not a one off project. So we'll get off into this track by track. Let's see. First track is called entitled "Lean Beef Patty." Got a sped up R&B vocal sample, kind of a synth based joint, little ill change up midway, about an 8 out of 10 in my opinion. Second track, Step a Pig, is kind of a synth centered groove, again 8 out of 10. The album to me really kicks into high gear by the third track, title track called, Scaring the Hoes. It starts off with this. Actually, it's this hand clapping that goes all the way through the track, and because the track is called "Scaring the Hoes" and the subject matter, he's talking about the whole thing with strip club chicks and this and that, and just wilding out over that kind of subject. It's hand clapping that you're hearing, but when you're listening to it, it sounds like chicks clapping their ass. That's what it sounds like to me. If you're listening to the track, that's what I hear. And it has this real ill saxophone loop that breaks up in these weird little segments. It's next level production. It's a ill happening. Very big drums on that one. Got a That's where I hear Beastie Boys on that track. Like it has a kind of a rock feel to it. That track is a 9 out of 10. Then we go to the fourth track, which is entitled "Garbage Pail Kids." Again, this weird kind of ill child kid vocal sample, chopped up real ill. This video game blips. Another great standout track, 9 out of 10. Fifth track, Fentanyl Tester. Again, that debauchery. There you go again. R&B vocals cut up real crazy. Ill synthesizer hits. Khalees Milkshake vocal chops makes its way into the mix. Again, another 9 out of 10 track. The next one's called "Perfect." Got a very regal horn sample. kind of post-trap drums to it. Got an anthemic quality. This one was an 8 out of 10. And then we go to, let me see, Shut Your Bitch Ass Up / Muddy Waters. And this is the 7th track. And sounds like a chop of an actual argument, like a female voice. It sounds like it's in the middle of an argument. And it has this repetitive bass drum part that just doesn't give up the whole track. 9 out of 10. Actually, and then, oh yeah, and on the second part of that joint, it just kind of reworks the elements that were in the first part and just, you know, switch them around a little bit, and it goes into this more kind of accessible kind of dance groove. I'm assuming that second part, that's the Muddy Waters part. And then you go into Orange Juice Jones, track 8. Male R&B vocal chops. To me, 8 out of 10 on that one. Then we go to, let's see, track 9, Kingdom Hearts Key. Another 9 out of 10 track. A real serene kind of vocal sample that's dirtied up by all of the surrounding drums, and it just gets, those drums make this joint grimy. You know, that's the vocal sample is nice and pretty, but them drums dirty up all that shit. So it's like 9 out of 10. That one works out really good too. Track 10, God Loves You. Somewhere between like a gospel or house voice sample. It kind of grows on you, you know, after repeated listens. Because at first that was one of the tracks I thought was originally, I scored it as an 8 out of 10. It actually moved into being a 9 out of 10. That's the only track that I upgraded. I very rarely do that, but yeah, I see where this one was actually more of a 9 out of 10 as opposed to an 8 out of 10. Great track. Next track is entitled Run the Jewels. It has like a weird, it starts off as a weird kind of short update of LL Cool J's going back to Cali. It breaks into this, you know, kind of strange, otherworldly synth groove piece. That's an 8 out of 10. It's the shortest track on the record. And then we have Jack Harlow, Combo Meal. Centered around a very serene, pretty jazz piano loop, and then get dirtied up and muddied up by these crazy hi-hats and wild drums that just surround this pretty, you know, jazz piano sample that it changes up a few different times, and you know, it's another standout track. You know, I would say nearly about half of this album is standout tracks. Great record. That one was a 9 out of 10. The next one's called Ho, and in parentheses, Heaven on Earth. So I guess that's what Ho stands for. Very offbeat, almost bingo hall, church organ kind of led joint. And then it has these random choir voice samples that go in and out. Another bizarre but dope 9 out of 10 track. And then the final track is Where You Get Your Coke From. And this is centered around a kind of 70s cop show sample. And it's almost like a kind of a chaotic take of Raekwon's Criminology. It kind of reminds me of that, but like a way more disorienting version of that, and it's not as straightforward. It's a great ending to really a great record. Another 9 out of 10. Overall, I'd have to give this album 8.8 out of 10. And again, I cannot stress enough, I hope this is not the only time that Danny Brown and JPEGMAFIA hook up for a full project. I can clearly see that if they keep, do record 2, 3, and 4, they're going to, this could really get progressively better. And it's very interesting. They bring it's it's a vibe that's there that you hear it on Danny Brown records and you hear it on JPEG Mafia records, but when put together, it makes so much sense for them to continue to do some more collaborative projects together. I really hope that this is the way forward. Great record, 8.8 out of 10, like I said before. Jason Mass playing music, JPEG Mafia, Danny Brown. You scaring the hoes. Peace.